In this video, we are putting HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to the test with Framer by trying to recreate this effect from Formberg. My name is Bendy.ui, and I am an amateur UI UX designer. I've been diving into coding recently to try out new activities, and I make fun videos on my YouTube channel, so if you haven't subscribed yet, now might be the perfect time. For this project, you will start by creating a main folder. Inside this folder, you will need two other folders. One for the font you will use in your code, and another one that will include images and 4 code files, 2 JavaScript files, an index.html file, and a style.css file. First, open the index.html file. Start with the basic doc-type HTML structure, and include the opening and closing HTML, head, and body tags. Within the body, create a div with the class name @marquee. Inside this div, add paragraphs to display the names you want to showcase. After that, you can open the index.html file in your browser to see the content. Then move on to the CSS file, where you'll add styles using the body, body before, and body after selectors. This will help stylize the body of our web page. I'll target the div with the class marquee to customize its position. I'll set its position to fixed, with a width of 100% and a height of 100 VH to ensure it covers the entire screen. The overflow will be set to hidden, so any content that exceeds the screen size is cut off. To include the font in the CSS file, I'll use font face. Then, I'll target the .marquee p selector to customize the paragraphs inside the marquee class by setting the font family, size, color, and other styles. Now that everything's in place on the website with the correct gradients, text sizes, colors, and background, it's time to add movement. Well, head over to the JS file to animate our elements and bring them to life. We'll open the JavaScript file and type document.add event listener. This ensures that our script runs only after the DOM is fully loaded. Inside this function, we create 2 constants. The first one, marquee, selects the div with the class marquee using document query selector. The second constant, paragraphs, stores all the p elements inside the marquee div using marquee query selector all. These variables will help us control the animation later. Next, I create a constant called scroll speed that will define the speed of the vertical marquee, making it slide infinitely. Then, I'll add another constant called scroll container, which creates a new div element. This div will act as a container for the scrolling content. Using JavaScript, I set its position to absolute and define its width and height as 100%. Finally, I append scroll container to the marquee div, making it a child element with marquee append child scroll container. Then, I loop through each paragraph inside marquee, using paragraphs for each. For each paragraph, I append it as a child of scroll container, using scroll container append child paragraph. This step ensures that all text elements are placed inside scroll container, which will allow us to create a vertical scrolling effect. I'll set the base translation of scroll container to 0, ensuring it starts at the right position. After that, I'll create a function called animate marquee. This function updates the position of scroll container over time, creating the sliding animation. Finally, after defining the function, I call animate marquee function at the end of the script to start the animation. Before we can see the animation play out on the web, we need to go back to index.html to link our JavaScript file. You do this by adding a script tag at the bottom of the body tag, right before the closing body tag. This will ensure that the JavaScript file is properly loaded and linked to the HTML file, allowing the animation to run when the page is loaded. Then, we can open the web browser to see the animation play out as expected. Now let's create the image rotation. We start by creating a div with the class color and adding multiple images inside this div. We make sure the first images class is set to active. This is important because the first image needs to be visible when the page loads. Now, moving on to the CSS. We define the color div's height and positions, making sure to center its content using the display, justify content, and align item selectors. We also set the overflow to hidden to keep everything neatly contained. Next, we'll target the images inside .color using .color img. We set the max width and height to 80%, preventing the images from exceeding their container. We also apply an object fit so the images will resize themselves properly while maintaining their aspect ratio. Importantly, we set the opacity to 0 on all images and add a transition on the opacity, setting it to 0.1 second and the mode to linear for smooth transitions. Finally, we'll target the image with the active class using .color.img active and set its opacity to 1, making it visible while the others remain hidden. If we go to the web page now, we can see that everything is set up and ready. Now, we move to the second JavaScript file and paste this code. I won't go too deep into the details, but essentially, what this code does is cycle through the images over time. It selects the image with the active class, displays it for a moment, then removes the active class and applies it to the next image. Since the newly selected image now has the active class, its opacity is set to 1, while the previously active image fades out to 0. This process repeats in a continuous loop, creating a smooth image rotation effect. Now, we go back to the index.html file to link the second JavaScript file. Just like before, we add a script tag at the bottom of the body section, right before the closing body tag. Once we save the file and refresh the web page, we can see the final result. The image rotation effect is now working smoothly, completing our project. Now let's try it with Framer, and you all gonna see how easy it is. As you can see, I already have all my assets ready on the side. First, I'll add a frame inside the desktop and set its width to fill and its height to viewport. Then I'll wrap each text inside of a frame. Then, add a thicker component to my frame. I'll make sure it covers the whole frame. Set its direction to up and its speed to 25%. Then I'll link all the frame containing the text to it. Let's preview this. I'll now add a square frame to this page. Customize it. And add all the images inside. Select all the image below the first one and set their opacity to 0. Select the whole frame and using Ctrl+K, open the component windows. Here, create a variant for each image, and each time set the new image opacities to 1 and the previous one to 0. Link all the variant to each other with an appear effect and set the delay as you want. And that's basically it. So, am I saying Framer is better than coding? No, but in some cases, it's definitely faster. If you need to build something quickly without spending time on structure and layout, Framer can be a great option. But if you want full control and flexibility, writing your own code is still the way to go. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.